Hey, everybody, welcome back to Inspired Action Life podcast. I'm your host, Karen Baldridge, and we are back again with my speaker series of Success Leaves Clues. And I have a very special guest with me today because this woman right here is the one who started my big journey into finding my success, because I was sitting on the sidelines of my life, and she is literally solely responsible for this because I found her first. I went to an event that she was hosting, and she changed the freaking game for me. Her name is Michelle Villalobos, and she is an author. Yes, an author, a speaker, and the creator of the Superstar Activator program and community, which I was part of that. And that's what set me on my path. So I have so much thanks and praise for her. And I can't wait. I finally got her on here so that we can connect and she can tell you kind of all the pieces that she followed to find her flow right now, because she is living her purpose. She is very impactful, and she impacted my life, and I have so much gratitude for that. So I'll stop rambling, and I'm going to throw it over so you can hear all the special magic that she's going to share with us today. So without further ado, hello, Michelle. Welcome.
Hello, what a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much, Karen. It's an honor to be here.
I am so grateful to have you today. And as I said to the audience, you sort of started the whole process for me. And before we launch into your story, the thing that the audience should be prepared for is your authenticity. And the reason that I connected with you is because you are open and authentic, and you matched energies before you even let people into your program, so that you knew that your energies were going to align. And I so loved that. And I just want to know how you came to this, because that's an elevated skill. That's not a
Mm.
skill that everyone knows to have or even knows they should have. And that's elevation. So there's so much goodness behind that story. So let's start with the beginning. Where are you from? Where did you start? How did you get to the Superstar Activator? Hey, I'm a former Superstar student. Go on. Tell me a story today.
Well, I'll start by just saying what a superstar is, and then I can share sort of how I got there.
Love it.
But ultimately, a superstar is someone who is using their gifts in the world to make the world a better place, to activate other people. A superstar is a light that shines in the world, and really that light comes from the inside out. I spent a lot of years living my life the opposite way, trying to operate from the outside in. So, and I think this is a pretty common situation that we get into in our cultures, in our society, the conditioning, which is, that happiness lies outside of us, that it's the product of more achievement, success, money, looks, all the things that we're all going after. And our economy is built around it. It's built around creating desire so that we buy things. And I'm not trying to, I don't want to get into a conversation about economics or any of that. I'm just saying that our economy is built on the engine of creating want and need. And so what that can create, and what it created in me, and what I've seen it create in a lot of people, is like an unfillable void of need and want, and always looking outside for the next thing that's going to fill that void. And so I did that. That's my story. That's the beginning of my story for many, many years. And the way that I tried to fill the void was through achievement. That was my first and most, and I would call that my primary strategy. I was a student. I got, went to an Ivy League school, got great grades, like worked my way up, and then hit a point in my, mid 30s where I was just miserable. And I had all the things that I thought I needed and wanted to be happy. And from the outside looking in, I was successful, and I had a really hot job at a magazine where I went to all these parties with celebrities and all that. And I was driving to work in the morning in tears, just so unhappy and so depressed and barely able to get out of bed. And other ways that I filled the void was drinking and partying and, social, trying to fill it. So that's the short version. And then, at one point I thought, well, starting my own business is going to fix this. I'll be happy when I'm my own boss and I don't any crappy bosses trying to tell me what to do anymore. So I
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
And of course, 7.5 years into that, I was still miserable. It was still me. And I
Mm-hmm.
was still operating from this outside in mentality. And so that's when I had my breakdown. I had like a full scale emotional health and relational breakdown in 2014.
And so
And
you're bound to hit the wall when you are operating on that because there's only so much bandwidth to put towards it. You're limited because you haven't tapped into that next level, right?
right, that's
This is where the story gets good. And that's why you spoke to me, is
yeah,
because you can tell me the X's and O's, the blocking and tackling. That's great. But I
yeah.
have to get deeper as to the why. And I feel like the people who listen to this have learned that that's kind of the people I bring on is let's go deeper because there's always more. Go. How did you get to the next level? And when?
Well, so the breakdown happened and it was so big and so severe that it like I couldn't ignore that my whole life had fallen apart, so
Right.
it got there. And I was just, it was rock bottom. I call it my dark night of the soul. And long story very short, I met a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Mentor promised to support me into rebuilding my business,
Mm-hmm.
and he sort of sold me what I wanted and gave me what I really needed, which was he refused to let me only focus on strategy anymore. He refused to let me only operate from the outside in anymore. So he basically made it a condition of our working together that I go deep and that I go inward and that I heal and that I face myself and that I clear out shadow and all the things. He basically made that a condition of working together.
I mean, that is such a diamond in the rough because again, we seem to segment ourselves in this space, like I'm a business coach, I'm a strategy coach, I'm an email coach, I'm these things. Um, but you and I both know that it has to be bigger and deeper and wider than that, or no real change will happen. And you obviously your soul was telling you that.
My soul was, my mind was fighting it. I resisted it a lot. I
Of
mean,
course.
I was a hard nut to crack, quite honestly. I wouldn't, clients like me, I don't know if I would have taken on a client.
You would have turned your energy down. Bye, girl.
I,
Bye.
I was very entrenched in that, you know, right brain, no, sorry, left brain, achievement oriented, strategy focused success and achievement. And I did not have any foundation for energetic work, or I didn't believe, so I had to learn all of this. I had to see it operate, I had to see it come to life. Like I had to, it took such a long, it not such a long time. I mean, it felt like it took forever, but it was about 2 years. Inside of 2 years, I started to see, really inside of 1 year, I started to see massive shifts in my business, in my life. And the focus was now what I call this, and this is sort of my interpretation of what we did, was coming into alignment
Yes.
in these key areas of my life. Like I had to come into alignment first with who I really was, my personality, my likes, my strengths, my weaknesses. That was part one. Then I had to come into alignment with a higher power, a higher purpose.
Mhm.
I had to come into alignment with my self-care. I quit drinking, I quit smoking, I quit partying. I started doing yoga, I started meditating. Like that, my mentor, really empowered me to start exploring all of that. And then I had to come into alignment with my values, which was a whole big thing. Freedom was a huge value of mine. And yet here I was living I felt trapped.
Yes.
Had a
Oh
lot of
God.
victimhood around where I was living and all that. So I left,
Yeah.
I moved, I went on the road for a year. I
Oh,
lived at my Mini Cooper.
oh my
Um,
gosh. You are like that wandering soul, like that wanderlust kind of person, aren't you? I'm
oh, totally.
curious though, what turned the tide? Like, was there just one aha moment? Because all of us have like a quote or like a theory or something that finally is just like, how did I not see this before? That sort of turned the tide. Was there anything that he said or some moment, like shift moment that you came upon that you're like, oh my God, I get it. I
There
get
were
it.
a few. There were a few shift moments. One of the things that Jake, his name's Jake. One of the things that Jake taught me was he talked a lot about energy. And
Mm.
I didn't really get that, but he started talking about following the free energy in my life. Like, where's the free energy? Where is it? Why available? And he started talking about bound energy. And what I started to realize was that all this pain and suffering was bound energy that could be liberated into something. I didn't realize it was he used to say, I think it was him that used to say, like, if you had, you know, oil fields under the land, you wouldn't want to get rid of the oil. You'd want to tap it. That's what you have. Like all that pain, all that suffering that you've been trying to cover up, that's bound energy that you can tap.
Yes,
And
so good. What a great visual. Again, it's those things that stick in my craw. Like it's like word pictures or examples like that that you can relate to. But oh my God, that's so good. That is so ridiculously good because people don't view it like that at
no, they're like, let
all. But
me,
that's probably because they don't know. I
right.
mean, they don't know what they don't know.
I didn't know. I didn't know at all. I mean, other things. I read the book The Field. I
Mhm.
read that on my own, but that was a game-changing book.
Yes.
Oh, and also The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbert.
Don't know
You know,
that.
and there's been a lot of books along the way because no matter what, I still am an intellectual. I love learning. I like understanding as much as I can. And so from all the books and all the reading and all the work, what I've come back to is basically this one thing right here, which is energy precedes outcomes.
Boom, 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 boom. That needs to like blow up. That is so right on the money. Do you know how many times I don't have this conversation with people because they'd be like, what? It
Yeah.
seems so woo, right? I mean, it seems so woo, but what I like is that you're mainstreaming this
Yeah.
within also offering the intelligentsia of strategy, of
Yeah.
marketing, of all of the things that are the breadcrumbs, the success leaves clues, because you
Yeah.
had all of that. But how do you wrap that into the new, higher version of yourself and create something that doesn't exist? And
Exactly.
I feel like all of that was meant to be for you. All
Well,
your heartbreak, all of your, things that came up against you, all the things that you had to encounter made you the level, like expert level that you are now. And so, how did you go about pulling all that crap together and going, how can I make this a thing? How did you do it through speaking? I mean, how did that whole process, what did it look like? And how scared were you creating something that you had no idea if it was going to work or not?
Well, I was terrified. And my business had already broken down. My health was down. Like I was rock bottom. And so I wasn't making any money when
Yeah.
I met Jake and I committed to this program. I was like, oh my. So there was a part of me that was in like survival mode, desperation. Like I got to
Yes.
make, right. And so the first thing that I did was that I got clear. I got clear from a place of alignment that my gifts were in the world of branding at the time. Like that's what I knew I could give people, that I knew I was really good at. I could look at somebody and talk to them and help them find a brand that was really compelling and exciting and beautiful. And I knew how to do that. So I created my very first, I followed Jake's model. So he was helping me on the inner work, but he was also like running this business model, this retreat
He's
model.
a
So,
gem too, right? I mean, because he flexes in both worlds, right?
oh,
And not everybody flexes in both worlds.
no, and that's that's what my soul knew it needed. My
Mhm.
mind was still like, is this gonna work? Like, is this guy
Yes,
for real?
because this is a lot of money and I have no income.
Right.
So, yay.
My first 3-day branding retreat. So basically, anybody who'd expressed any interest in working with me on the brand side, and I did have people, sorry, there was a bug. I did have people doing that, like doing half days and full days with me. I had some traction there. So I basically instead enrolled them into this 3-day, where in 3 days, we're going to nail down the brand and the messaging, the concept, all that. So I got 10 people in there, and I enrolled total 2 from that retreat and then 2 from somewhere else. I enrolled like a total of 3 or 4 people
Mhm.
into my very first 1-year program.
Oh my
And
gosh.
first time I had monthly recurring revenue. which was a game changer. It was
Yes.
a game changer
Oh
to
my
have.
God. Well, so many entrepreneurs are trying to get to that space because you have to like work like mad dog, for like that one thing. When you do events, it's like that one thing. And now what, and now you're in a drought, right? And so you
Always.
creating that strategy of how to string it into and make it a value add for that person. It's not just revenue, it's mutually beneficial.
That's what I needed to overcome in my own mindset. Like that we had aligned interests. Like, yes, I have an interest in having monthly recurring revenues for a year. And the client has an interest in having support
Right.
and accountability and implementation support for a whole year. So our
Exactly.
interests were aligned. And that's where, that was a huge breakthrough for me because I had always really resisted selling uh longer packages. I was a real fan of the one and done,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I've always had clients that were not that I didn't have clients for a long time, and I was feeling very unsatisfied by that. I love now that I've been doing this model 9 years,
Oh my
I
gosh.
love the I have clients that have been with me. Well, I have one that started that November 2014. So
And she's still with you.
yeah, Leanne, you met
Leanne. Yes. Oh my gosh.
a client like Katie just started her 6th year.
I
Or
know
her,
Katie too. I keep in kind of contact with her as well.
Mhm.
Just kind of keeping an eyeball. And does she have a similar thing too? Like, is that why she stays? I mean, she has a group and all that. I guess I don't know that part,
She
but
does. Yeah.
that's what I love about your model was very revolutionary. And that's why I feel like I kind of want to get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that sort of opened my eyes to what's possible. Because anyone who's trying to make those shifts, it seems really scary. Okay. So like we're talking like, hey, you're successful now, but you were scared out of your mind
Right.
back then. There are periods of drought. Okay. So that's again normal. And there has to be some shift. Like, there has to be some mindset shift, and you need to do the work if you want consistency. And you're the perfect illustration of it. This is why it's so important for me to connect with you on here. So firsthand, it's all I can tell the story all I want, but I'm not to the level of success that you have achieved because you have followed that alignment.
Yeah, and I stuck with it for 9 years because you had said, "How did you get here?" Well, it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. Like in the beginning, I enrolled people that I shouldn't have enrolled. In the beginning, I had clients that didn't stay. That Leanne stayed and Katie stayed, but there's a 3-year window between those two.
Oh, okay.
No one
Yeah.
stayed. Why? Because I wasn't enrolling the right people and I wasn't a great leader. And, or maybe let me not say I wasn't a great leader. I hadn't really stepped into my full leadership potential, and I wasn't leading from higher standards and boundaries like I have now. Like, so I've learned a lot along the way to be able to lead a community, which I did not know how to do back then. But my soul desperately wanted community. And so I believe that desire created what I have now. And I
Oh,
do the power. One of my new lines is that desire is destiny's calling card.
oh my gosh.
When
Okay,
you
I'm writing
deeply
that.
desire something, and I'm not talking about deeply desiring the next Mini Cooper,
Yes. Yeah.
model, even though I want that car, but no, deeply desires, like I deeply desire to be just surrounded by brilliant, enlightened, awakened superstar humans, right?
Oh
On
my
a
God.
regular basis. That's a deep desire that I manifested because I really allowed that desire to be cultivated.
I
And
have
I met
two
along the
things.
way.
Two things with that is you're using two of my favorite buzzwords, manifest. Hello, don't always get to talk about that one either, but now that you're here, and community, because that is big time. Again, the seed was planted when I was in your superstar activator program. That seed was planted about community. I have since went to a couple more masterminds that also focused on community, and I agree completely that the way forward is you are the sum total of the people you surround yourself with, and nothing has proven itself over and over again more than that. And so
Mm.
I love how you have cultivated that. And tell me, could you like give us a little wisdom on like how you set your boundaries and how you know who to let, or what's your process of knowing who's the right fit for your community?
You know the process because you've been through it. In fact, so I only enroll people now into that 1 year
Mhm.
community who I've spent the 3 days with in the 3 day retreat.
Yes, that
And I've
immersive.
how
Yeah.
they show up. Do they show up in service? Do they contribute?
Mhm.
Are they aligned? Is it an aligned match? And the funny thing is, people ask me all the time, well, if somebody isn't aligned, how do you let them go? How do you let them? I'm like, if they're not aligned, they usually don't want to join.
If they're
It's
not
kind of like,
ready for your wisdom, yeah, they're just not there yet. I mean, it was interesting, like the old version of me. I was just when I found you again, it's so interesting how manifesting and how energy sort of brings you to places that you otherwise wouldn't be. I had never done anything like that. So for anyone listening, I just need for you to understand that I literally like stumbled upon her because she's not really active on Instagram. I found her on YouTube, and I don't even listen. I'm not even a YouTuber. I mean, I don't ever go on YouTube. My kids go on YouTube. I don't go on YouTube. However, I found her. I think I was Googling retreats. I had retreats on my soul. Like that was something. And then here goes Michelle, and she has got the most expansive YouTube list. Go run now and listen to her YouTube. Go listen to her whole collection. She gives such good, valuable information. And that's, Michelle, how one of the value adds that drew me to you is because you do give so much good information on your YouTube channel that you are sharing, which I mean is very valuable, that drew me to you and put a trust factor. And again, my energy was probably aligned with you anyway, because my higher self knew I was supposed to be funneling into, towards you anyway. But I didn't know that yet because I hadn't been evolved to that level. So it's interesting that your modem is, ooh, I'm getting a little squirrely out here. I hope my electricity isn't going out because we're having a thunderstorm. Yay. Something's
oh
happening.
no.
Something's happening here. Well, we're going to go in the dark a little bit for the time being. But anyway, uh, I found you on YouTube and I needed to make sure that I spent money that I normally never spent because I wasn't making a regular monthly income at that point, but I knew that I knew that I knew. And so I set that up with and just winging a prayer, and I got so much value from it. And so tell me about, just really quick before we like wrap this up, as to what you're doing now, where people can find you. What Tell me about the whole manifesting thing, and when did you start to order that into your universe? I'm clicking on my light, so you talk while I fix my light over here, okay?
So I started with the 3 day retreat. Jake helped me kind of imagine that. And much like you, so it's kind of funny, like full circle, right? So I winging a prayer threw the money at Jake and was like, all right, I'll go to your retreat. And then I enrolled in his 1 year program, and I stayed with him for as long as he had that 1 year program going. He eventually let it go and started doing something else, but we're still connected. We're still friends. And so I just started running that business model and refining it over the past 9 years. And it really started to gel, I think about 4 years in was where people started to stick around more.
Yes.
Yeah. Where my clients, now most people complete year 1 and stay for year 2, 3. And in the last couple years, most people who complete year 2, 3 are staying for year 4, 5. So
Would you say it's also like a mastermind group? I mean, would you align it and call it a mastermind group as well?
group coaching mastermind program. And
Yes.
it's a business focus. Like I bring them in with the business strategy, just like you with that
Yes.
3 day. And the 3 day is where we focus on what's the new possibility, what's the new vision, what's the new structure of the business. Do you want to do retreats? Do you want to do online courses? But all roads lead eventually to some sort of
Okay.
mastermind group coaching community, or what I'm calling now a culture.
Yes.
Uh, More than a community, it's a culture. It has like its own way of talking. There's certain
Yes.
characteristics of a culture that I've identified. So that's what all of everybody's doing. And then if they're in that 3 day, it's a really great fit and they want to keep going and I want to keep going, then we have the conversation about them investing in that full year, which is a year's worth of coaching with me, with a performance coach, with a mindset coach,
Yes.
with masterminding with each other. And we do these amazing, deep, rich live experiences together as well. So that's my whole program. And then about 5 years ago, I started sharing that and teaching other people how to do that model, because before that I was still very focused on branding.
Yeah.
The last 5 years, I've kind of shifted the focus to here's how you do a retreat business model. Here's what it looks like. And then in the last year, this year, the shift is becoming, instead of here's how you lead this model, it's here's how you lead.
So more leadership focused on how to just lead in whatever capacity, like leadership.
Yeah, and mostly like as a superstar. How do you become, instead of how do you have this specific model that follows this structure, which I'm still teaching, the focus, at least for me, has become more on how do you be this person? How do you become a superstar?
The
how does
embodiment of
the
superstar.
embodiment of superstar? You got it. That's
Tell
it.
me really fast before I, close this out, is the superstar. We all know, oh, superstar, but you actually, there's something more strategic behind superstar. And I found that really cool too, because I don't run into this like personality kind of assessment and things that you use that most don't. Are you willing to share where that came from?
Yeah, so I've always had an interest in personality types and assessments. That was kind of an original root level love of mine. And I even studied psychology in college, focused
Oh,
on psychometric testing.
yeah.
So I was certified in Myers-Briggs and all that. And then I discovered through a former coach of mine, the wealth dynamics assessment, wealth dynamics. And that's by a guy named Roger James Hamilton. And wealth dynamics is focused specifically on what's your type to generate wealth? How do you generate wealth the easiest?
Yes.
So my type that I came back out was a star profile. Interestingly enough, I resisted at first. I was like, no, I
I'm
don't
not.
know. I think I'm more of a creator than a star or whatever.
Yeah.
A star can be, and now I recognize. So that's another thing, like, that alignment part of it is getting real with yourself, being honest with yourself,
Yeah,
instead of,
who are you when when it's all in and there's authenticity here? You have your idea of who you want to be or who you think you are, but then there's actually who you are.
who are you really, right? And so star is one of the 8 profiles. And that's funny because I named the business Superstar. No, I didn't. I found out I was a star before I started using the superstar word, actually. It's funny, but I
Yeah.
didn't embrace, like, I started using superstar in 2013, and I didn't really start embracing it till more like 2017 or 2018, I would say, is when I really like
I
embraced.
I love it because it truly is like the perfect like explanation of how you approach your group and the people. You bring these great people in with such insightful exercises and information into your experiences, which I loved. Which, obviously, I'm going to try to emulate you, just like you tried to emulate Jake. I am going to try to emulate what you did because it was very profound for me. And the superstar thing was very profound too, because I always, as
Mm,
energetic and talkative as I might come across,
yeah.
I hadn't fully walked into that person yet. But on paper, like you said, I resisted. No, 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 no. I'm a creative. I'm a creative writer. That's what I do. I'm a copywriter. I'm behind the scenes. I just write for
That's super
everybody else, but I
name.
don't step out, you know.
Yeah.
And so here we are.
And the star generates wealth. For those who are listening, maybe resonating, the star generates wealth. It's really the combination of the creator profile and the supporter profile. So the star generates wealth by creating in service of others, creating experiences, creating events,
Oh my
creating.
God. Boom. Yes. Oh, thank you for saying that. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, that I can hang up I can just stop now for me personally, because that is precisely where I'm at right now. I want to set up a platform for other people to come in and speak at my event so they can ingratiate us with their expertise. But I love to gather them. And you just flipping called that out. Oh my gosh.
One of the things that stars generally do best is create experiences, create events, create journeys, create, they don't want to create by themselves for themselves. There are creators who are creator mechanics do love to create by themselves for themselves. That's a
Yes.
thing too. And there's a different strategy for monetizing that.
Yeah.
But for a star, great strategy is also a magnify strategy rather than a multiply strategy.
Oh my gosh, that is oh my, you're killing me. I mean, seriously, it's like a complete validation with everything because I'm scared,
Yeah.
to put this event out here. So I'm going to jump in and do it scared. And who knows, there could be nobody show up or the right people. I'm relying on the energy creates outcomes. I'm relying that the energy
That's the
brings
thing.
the right people who need it,
That's at the center of this whole concept is right. Like when you're in alignment with your natural way of being and doing things, when you're in alignment, you in particular, Karen, with your star profile, there's more energy available. Everything is more graceful, more easy. And that elevates your emotional state, which elevates your energetic vibration. And this is science. This is actually not woo-woo. This is, we have electro something cardiograms that can measure the output of the heart. The heart
Right.
sends out a signal, and that signal is a wave pattern, and waves encode information. And the information encoded in the wave that sent out, the signal of the wave signal that's sent out from our heart, is our emotional state. And so when our emotional state is elevated, when we're happy, when we're in alignment, when we're doing what we love to do, we have more energy, our energy is elevated, and people can feel it. And that gets imbued into everything we create. So when we're creating from the energy of excitement and love and contribution, that gets imbued into the marketing materials, the video that we made, the email that we write, and people can feel it. And that is what attracts.
I believe that. I'm assuming you also have studied into like Joe Dispenza and his work. I mean, I'm all about it. But what is it called? The Heart Map Institute or whatever that's called, where scientifically, and for me, that helps because I do leadership coaching daytime, but this is like my passion project. And I understand that not everybody understands this type of talk because it sounds woo woo, but when I can back it up with science, then I can get some validity,
Right.
with the audience. But this part is just going to be the people who read my energy because it's not going to
Yeah.
be it's not going to be corporate anymore. That cages me. That's too much sometimes for me. So
Mhm.
this is in again, I found you because of energy, and you never know who's going to find you here because tell me what your current offering is so that way people who are just going, "Oh my gosh, I have to talk to her." The stupid light. I'm so sorry. Like a
Please.
thunderstorm be gone. I
Great.
don't know what happened. It kind of cut off this light. But oh well, we're going with it right now. We are going with it.
You look
Um,
great.
tell me, where can they find you and what is it that you're offering soon? Because I know other people are going to be like a butterfly to the light. Tell me what's going on. What are you doing?
The next so I have the program called the Superstar Business Breakthrough, which
Mhm.
is the one you came to, Karen, a couple of
Yep.
years ago. That's my foundational program. Up until now and up and through September, I've got it. It's in person.
Mhm.
It's a live program. And then from September on, it will actually become a virtual program. Live, it'll still be live. It'll still be, but it's going to be virtual so that I can deliver it more broadly. I've got people now from YouTube, all over the world.
Oh
And so,
yeah, your reach is, I mean, just endless, endless
yeah,
reach.
so I still am a big believer in and I still have the in-person experiences, but those are to do the deeper inner work. So for the business breakthrough, where I
Mhm.
start with people, September is the next and last live one. And then from then on, it'll be a virtual program and also have a one-on-one version of it. And then I have I'm opening up some of my deeper programs for people who are an aligned fit. So if somebody's interested and wants to see if I can support them or help them, the best place to go would be to superstaractivator.com.
Okay.
Poke around in there, see if it resonates with you. My YouTube channel,
Yep.
Michelle Villalobos, Superstar Activator. YouTube has everything that I know, and the reason I give away so much is because I truly believe that information is not the same as transformation. And if somebody wants a transformational experience, they need to work with me and my group or somebody. It doesn't have to be personally. I think that's where the real
There
transformation.
has to be that whole, you don't transform until it's like an embodied thing. There's something about being there with the people. Tell me, well, I didn't know you had the deeper work stuff. I'm curious about that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at. Like I'm at that level now,
Yeah. Have a conversation. And that's what I offer to anyone who's like curious, let's have a conversation. You can book that. You can, it'll ask you a few questions to make sure it's the right fit
Right.
at superstaractivator.com/go.
Okay.
/go. Superstar Activator.
Okay.
And then you and we can set up a call manually in here. And then what I'm doing, I just published this book.
Oh,
It's
exciting. My author friend. Look at this.
So,
oh, what is it called? But I want to fly. Of course. How apropos. I love that. Michelle, that's beautiful. That cover art.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is beautiful. This is basically, I'll just read you the first line.
Yes, please.
It says, waking up again on the hamster wheel of life. V was safe, secure, and warm, but dying inside. So that's the beginning of the story, and it takes you on her journey.
You are killing me.
And dive into her dreams again. So this is it's really cool. She goes into the workshop and she starts building and creating and
oh my gosh, that is so impactful. I mean, if only that is, first of all, that's a beautiful book. Second of all, I love it that kids can, are being brought into this, because if only as a parent, if only I would have been as enlightened as I am now when I was raising them up, then this would have, they're doing great, but they could be better. Everything could be better if you think bigger. And the fact that you're reaching them right at that crux where it makes a difference.
It's called an adventure book for dreamers of all ages, because it's really meant for us.
Well, it speaks to me. No, it speaks to me as well. What I'm saying is, I guess I didn't say that right. It's dynamic where kids are drawn to this, and it's in words that they might resonate with. But for us, it's dreamers, because we start as dreamers when we're little, right? I mean, that's where our dreams either expand or they squelch. They get stomped on, and then they no longer are brought out into the world.
There's a line in here where she says, V shared her dream with some she knew, the ones she most respected, but met with doubt and ridicule, which left her quite dejected.
I cannot with this. I was so supposed to talk to you today. I mean, oh my gosh. This was supposed to happen. That book is amazing. Where do we get that? On your website, or is it on Amazon, or where's available?
Go to butiwanttofly.com, and you can order it and get it shipped to you. People are buying it as gifts, as graduation presents, divorce presents.
Yes, divorce, empty nesters, all of us. I mean, I'm the empty nester. I'm the person who, needed that to know I'm not alone, right? I mean, that was what started it. And again, how I found you, I would have been like eating that book up, and I still probably will. And all of this information will be in my show notes. Is there any social media that specifically we can find you besides YouTube? Are you active anywhere else?
I'm starting just like once a day. Simple posts on Instagram. I'm starting to play there.
Okay.
Play from a place of joy and fun. So I'm not putting any pressure on myself. I'm just enjoying myself on there, but it's just starting. So I'd love to have people there. I'd love to meet people there.
Well, I think it's great that you're going right to the website anyway, because you never know with social media, and some of that stuff can kind of go away and you don't expect it to these days. So I love that we're going to just drive them to your website right now, and that'll all be in the show notes. And I hate this dumb light, but thank you that you're lit up and you're lighting my soul up, because you started the journey. I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful for you. And I just so hope that somebody else gets this. Like, I hope you get this, woman. I hope that you feel this because you come from a place of authenticity. And I read that immediately. So
Thank you.
I
Thank-
enjoyed so much your group, and I'll be interested in your other offerings. And everyone, please find Michelle. Just it's a different way of life. It's a
Yeah.
different way of doing life once you are exposed to this. So I can't tell you enough to go. So
Oh, thank you, Karen. What a pleasure it's been to reconnect with you today. Thank
yes,
you.
it's been so great. And I've made friends from your group too that I'm still in contact with and I still keep up with and visit. So thank you. It has just impacted me in more ways than I can say. So thank you, everyone. Join Michelle. Go and see what she's got going because you will never be the same. And you won't regret it. I'm not. I'm not the same. I'm a completely different person. So thank you. Thank you, friend. And you have a wonderful week. And I'll let you know when I get to share your beautiful face and your story with everybody on my social media. All right.
Wonderful.
Take
Thank
care
you.
and be well.
All right.